Stop right there. You're in the right place. We are live and direct on Level Up with your special host, aka me, Eunice Olumide, your favourite creative's favourite creative. And for this very special episode of Level Up, I have hijacked Butte House, literally our equivalent of the Oval Office. And I'm going to be chatting to the big man himself, John Swinney. Awesome. Thank you so much for being here today. It's absolutely amazing to have you.
It's lovely to be with you. Thank you. Thank you very much for the chance to have a chat.
Yeah, it's great. And you were saying something before we started about Edinburgh. Mm-hmm. So you said that we grew up actually quite near each other.
We did. Well, I think you grew up in Wester Hailes.
I did, yeah.
Well, I grew up just a wee bit down the road in Carricknow. So,
oh, did you?
Yes.
I love Carricknow. Yeah. I used to have quite a lot of friends in that area. Carricknow, Curry, Firhill, that kind of area.
Well, I was kind of, I was in a bit of a similar position. Like a lot of my buddies were in Carricknow or in Broomhouse or some up at Broomy.
Oh my goodness.
Sighthill, and then Sighthill, of course, just goes up into Wester Hailes, and so the school I went to drew together pupils from Carricknow, Broomhouse, Sighthill, and a bit of Wester Hailes as well. So we were all in the same neck of the woods, but I was there quite a bit before you.
Oh, that's cool. That's really, really cool. I love Edinburgh, I'll be honest with you. I think it's I think Edinburgh, Scotland in general, for me, is just one of the best places in the world.
Yep.
And I kind of feel like, is there anything from your childhood that kind of like still stays with you today in terms of like memories and?
Yeah, like I think a lot about the fact that I feel, particularly when I look at my son just now, I feel as if the world was a lot more simple when I grew up, and it was a sort of, really a much more relaxed place to grow up in, so you were able to go out and about, and we had scope to be out cycling, running, playing football, the park just across the road from where my parents' house, well, still is actually, we'd be kicking footballs about there all the time. So it was a really, I suppose, a gentle childhood. I suppose the thing that I felt about Edinburgh, like you, I love Edinburgh. So it's a great privilege for me now to live in Charlotte Square in the First Minister's official residence.
Quite fancy.
Well, it is.
Quite cool.
But I think the thing I feel, where I grew up, it was a very ordinary part of the city. And then I got a place at Edinburgh University, and I honestly didn't think that people like me got to go to the magnificent buildings of Edinburgh University up at Old College in Southbridge, these tremendous seats of learning, and I just didn't think that was for people like me, and I got a place there, and I went there, and I think that has probably bound me to Edinburgh because of the fact that I started off my life in such ordinary circumstances, and then I got to go to this incredible institution called the University of Edinburgh, which was so influential in my experience, and then I now find myself living in Charlotte Square.
That's amazing. So, like, how did you get into politics?
As I was growing up, so in the 1970s, there was a big debate about whether Scotland should have a parliament or not, and the SNP was doing really well. And it was a very, very all-consuming debate. Should Scotland have more control over her own affairs? And I was watching this as a teenager, and there was a referendum in 1979 about establishing a Scottish Assembly, as it was called then, which would have given a bit of self-government to Scotland. And I remember coming home, I'd followed it all and had been really interested in it, and I was doing a modern studies course at school, so I was really interested in politics. And I remember coming home on the day after the referendum, it's a Friday, coming home from school from my lunch, and my mum said to me, I'm afraid I don't think your side's going to get enough votes to do it. And what had happened was that there was more yes votes in favour than no votes, but there had to be a certain number of yes votes for it to happen.
Aye.
And it didn't happen. So there was a real sense of disappointment, and I sort of felt, well, if I care about this issue, I should do something about it. So I joined the SNP at the age of 15 in 1979, in the aftermath of that disappointing moment. And of course, for me, you know, my political journey has seen the establishment of the Scottish Parliament, and I've become the First Minister of Scotland, which, coming from the very ordinary background I came from, is something that's
pretty legendary.
It's of enormous pride and significance for me. And the only, you know, my dad is still alive, he's 94, and he saw me becoming First Minister. Unfortunately, my mum died before I became First Minister. I would have absolutely loved her to see me becoming First Minister. She would have worried endlessly about it, but I would have loved her to have seen it. But she saw me doing lots of other things, which was great.
That's really quite powerful, actually. Well, putting that to the sides in terms of politics, like, what do you actually do to just relax and like spend time with your family and just chill out?
Well, my family life is fundamental to me. So I've got 3 children. They're over a wide age range of 31, 29 and 15.
Whoa!
And
wait, so you're a professional? No, have you got grandkids?
I've got 1 grandchild.
So you've got a PhD.
What a great way to put it. Well, yeah. So
I've got a 1-year-old. So if you've got grandbabies, yeah, I'm an amateur.
Just the one. So my grandson is he's just coming up for 1, and he is, well, you'll know all about it. He is just full of life.
Yes, they're amazing.
Rampaging everywhere now that he's moving. You think, oh, when you've got wee ones, you think, oh, if only they could get up on their feet. And the minute you get on your feet, you think, oh no, what are they on their feet about? That's just, that's
so true.
horrendous.
Facts, like.
So my family life is really important to me. So I'm obviously busy being First Minister, but so spending time with my family is very precious. Aside from that, I love the outdoors. So
that's what I was going to actually ask you. Like, is there any place in particular that you like to go?
Well, I just in my Christmas card this year, I used a photograph that I took of a trip that I made to a place called Loch Ossian on Rannoch Moor. And you can only access that really by train. And you get a train to Carrower, which is where they filmed Train Spotting.
Is it?
And it was one of the scenes from Train Spotting.
Oh, that's healthy.
And I went there, and it was a kind of winter's day, I took a winter's photograph, and just on my iPhone, and it's a lovely picture. And I used that in my Christmas card this year. So I like getting out to, that's a particular place because it's a place of real peace and isolation, apart from the fact that every 3 hours or so, a train goes up the track going up to Fort William. But it is very, very peaceful. And as a family, we holiday in the West Coast Islands, and I love the golden sands, the turquoise waters, and even if it's pouring with rain or a howling gale, the sand is still golden, the water's still turquoise, and it's lovely. So those are the kind of places of sort of restfulness and peacefulness for me. My other thing is that I like running, and I started running about, maybe 15 years ago, and I built it up, and I really enjoyed it. It's been really good for my physical and also my mental well-being because I get out, I get some exercise. It's really good for me. And much to my total surprise, I managed to do a marathon. So
That's cool.
I did a marathon in Rome in 2014, and I never. It's like these things. You know, you think about things. I could never do that. I thought I could never run a marathon, and I managed to do it, and it was great. I loved it. So that's my kind of balance in life, is doing a bit of running.
It's really cool. I totally agree with that, because even for me, I do tend to find that in terms of like my mental health, which you referred to, exercise is like a really key part of that. And I think that's like one of the coolest things about Scotland is we've actually got all this amazing natural beauty like surrounding us.
But even like, yes, and there's lots of it. And I live, our family home's in Perthshire. It's a beautiful county. There's loads of great outdoors there. But even here, I go out running from this house. I run in the city centre. And some mornings when I'm running about and the sun's just coming out, and you look at these buildings, and you think, you look around the buildings and you think, I'm looking at architecture, a built environment that's been here for hundreds of years, and all these inventors, all these creative people that made Scotland and made Edinburgh what it is, they saw all this too. Because there's so many of these buildings are, ancient buildings built 200-300 years ago.
Old school.
All, part of the design of the new town, the great sort of civic and architectural constructions in the city. And you think all these great inventors who made the modern world, and a lot of them came from Edinburgh and from Scotland, they saw these things too. And it's really, I suppose it puts you into your place in the great passage of time.
Aye.
That you think, well, we're here just now doing our best, trying our best, but others have been around about here before doing exactly the same.
That's deep. Is there like a person that really inspires you? Like doesn't have to be from like work, like in your personal life?
I have been shaped by my parents. So my mum was a non-judgmental woman. She was a generous spirited woman. She just was a good, kind, helpful, assuring mother. And she was like that to lots of other people in her life. She would never judge people. She welcomed people, she interacted with them, and she left that sense with me. My dad is a really hard-working, committed man who provided for our family. We didn't have a lot of money. He worked really hard, long hours, to make sure we had a good life. So I sort of think that I've been shaped by the generosity of spirit of my mum and the really hard work ethic of my dad. And that's what I think I am now. And so I can't say there's somebody other than my parents shaped me more than my parents shaped me. And that's something for which I'll be forever grateful.
Amazing. Whoa! I'm bringing out my South London slang. You get me, blood. Live and direct. What do you think you'd be doing if you weren't in public life?
The one thing that I always wanted to be, which I didn't manage to be, was a teacher.
Oh, cool.
So when I finished university, my plan was to go to a teacher training college and become a history teacher. And at that point, there was just no places available to go into the teaching profession. So I didn't do that. I went off and did other things, and then one thing led to another, and I ended up as a politician, and which I didn't expect. I didn't, as a youngster, I didn't get involved in politics to become a politician. I got involved in politics because I wanted Scotland to be independent, and then I just sort of got involved in politics, and then one thing led to another. But I never had a childhood dream to become a politician. My childhood dream was to be a teacher, and never managed to get there.
It's mental. And
I did become the.
You are a teacher.
I did, well.
You're basic. It's still a lot of the same skills that teachers use.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. And I obviously had the privilege of being the education minister for 5 years, and also in my work as First Minister, I'm very regularly in schools and engaging with the teaching profession and with pupils and with families. So I feel quite close to all of that, despite not having become a history teacher.
Well, I think it's pretty cool what you're doing. I think, you never know. You never know.
Never know.
You never know. You can always
never say never, eh?
Do you know what I mean? So cool. I feel like Robert Burns is basically Scotland's #1 hype man, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think he's a legend, and there's a lot of things that you were saying there that I'm just wondering, what do you think it is about someone like Robert Burns that makes his kind of like writing and his messages and what he stands for like still so relevant today?
I think there's something timeless about so many of the topics that Robert Burns wrote about. You know, if you're taking a man's a man for all that, you know, for all that and all that. Now, that's an aspiration which is essentially an anthem about tolerance, understanding, collaboration, partnership. You know, that, you know, an absence of prejudice. That we should see others for who they are, and all about that decency that we need in the world. And of course, the necessity for that today is ever more significant. And one of the lovely things about this house is that there's a portrait of Robert Burns just over there, the Naismith portrait of Robert Burns, and it hangs in the drawing room of Butte House.
That's actually amazing. In terms of like what you were just discussing there, what do you think are like the core values in Scotland, and like what you maybe carry through in your work and stuff as well?
Scotland for me has always been a very welcoming and inclusive and tolerant country. That's what Scotland has been.
Definitely.
And a country that's believed in, and I suppose in a sense it's lived out by the position of Robert Burns. Robert Burns was an individual from ordinary stock, of ordinary farming stock, and here we are in 2026 still talking about the legendary work of Robert Burns, and right around the world people will be doing exactly the same thing, particularly at this time of year, in commemorating Burns. So there's something really totally enduring about, I think, his journey, which is from the ordinary individual that makes a profound impact on the world. And then there's also, I think, the characteristics that are in his work, which are all about democracy, equality, liberty, and the respect for your fellow person. And I think those are values that have really underpinned Scotland. So that's why I'm confident that Scotland is a tolerant, welcoming, outward-looking country. We've always been outward-looking as well. You know, we've contributed so much to other parts of the world, and that's so much part and parcel of who we are.
Something that you said earlier actually that triggered something I was going to ask you, which is, how does Scotland kind of navigate these geopolitical issues like these?
I think we do that by sticking to our values. So, you know, if you were to say to me, what are the values of Scotland? I would say Scotland is a country that believes in fairness, in equality, in having an outward-looking perspective and respecting others and being welcoming and tolerant. And I think there's quite a bit of pushback on all of those values in the world today, and I think we should just hold our ground, because these are the values that have made us who we are. So, and I'm very much at ease with the Scotland I live in.
Yes.
I love living here.
100%.
I've loved living here.
150%.
I've had no appetite to live anywhere else because I love what this country represents.
Yes.
So, but I recognise that a lot of those values are under pressure from other attitudes, views, other dynamics in the geopolitical world. And I just think we should hold our ground. We should look at those values and say, well, these values are good values. These are really, really sound.
100%.
And we should stick to them.
I
and we
totally
shouldn't be
agree.
pushed around.
No.
Be who we are.
100%. And I think like what you said earlier about tolerance is really important, because you're never going to agree with everybody. Everyone's always going to have different views and opinions and backgrounds, and I think that everyone still needs to be treated like a human being.
But you see, I've been, like if you take it in the political space, I've been a member of Parliament for 29 years now. And when I started off, there was much more respect for the fact that we all held different opinions.
Yeah.
And that was a good thing.
Yeah,
You know, that actually,
I was thinking about that actually the other day.
Oh, wait a minute, this is in a democracy. In a democracy, you need to have folk holding different opinions. And then, so you listen to each other and you say, well, I don't agree with you because of this or that, and I attach more importance to this than that. And we agree to disagree, but we've heard each other.
Aye.
And I think there's a bit, the world has become much more angry and adversarial.
Aye.
And where it's almost as if, well, actually you're not allowed to hold a different view to mine, and I'm not going to actually accept the fact that you hold a different view to me, were that to be the case. And I think that's unhealthy.
It's unhealthy, because how do you actually learn and like grow?
That's right, exactly. And also, if you accept other people's points of view and respect them, then you're on the way to having a healthy democracy.
I'm going to ask you a question that I just want you to know, because I think it's cool, right? What Scots, past, present or future, if you could sit down, have a wee cup of tea with them and a natter, who would they be?
I'm in the fortunate position that in terms of present Scots, anyone I really would want to have a cup of tea with, I could probably have a cup of tea with, because I'm the First Minister. So I'm probably best to answer about the past. And I suppose there's one person I'd love to sit down with, and it's an artist called Samuel Peploe, and I've got a painting, I'll show you before you go away. I've got a painting that hangs in Butte House of his, an original painting. It's painted in 1936, and if there's one image that sums up what I think is my view of peacefulness, it's one of his paintings, and it's called Green Sea at Iona. And it's back to what I was talking to you about where I go for my holidays. Golden sands, turquoise waters, majestic Scottish landscape, and it sits opposite where I sit in the cabinet room. I'll show you it before we finish. And I'd love to sit down and just have a cup of coffee with Samuel Peploe and understand what is it that attracted you to paint these majestic paintings of, he was part of the colourist tradition in Scotland, incredible artwork. And I suppose the other person that I'd like to meet, and I've always admired her, is a lady called Mary Barber, and she was a Labour councillor in Glasgow in the early part of the 20th century. And she was basically, she campaigned for equality and justice for people who were living in poverty. And what's driving me as First Minister is I want to eradicate child poverty. And I would love to sit down with Mary Barber, who was a really tenacious, forceful, powerful, but not, she didn't have power, she was just an inspirational figure. And I'd love to hear what she would say to me today about what I could do today to eradicate poverty in Scotland.
That would be amazing, because I work with a few charities with children and stuff, and it's quite hard because I find it really difficult because people are like, oh, I don't know why I'm getting a bit teared up by that, but basically I just how can we say that we're advanced and technological when there's children?
That's exactly my point. Eunice. So we live in a very, very sophisticated society, yet there are children living in poverty. So I've made it a big thing about my time in office as First Minister that I want to eradicate child poverty. And I think, well, there's Mary Barber. She led campaigns in Glasgow to deliver equality, to deliver justice for children and families that were living in poverty. And she was doing that 100 years ago. And here we are today in 2026 having to face the same thing. So that's why I'm determined to do something about it, and to use my role as First Minister to make sure it happens.
Well, I'm glad, because I can't do it. I'm knackered.
Well, you can. Well,
I can't manage.
You
I'm
can,
still doing it though.
You and I can talk it through, and you've got plenty of influence to get people to say this is the right thing to do.
Right, I'm on it.
And we need to get on with it. We need to get on with it.
Yes, you get me. When you speak to Scots, like at home and abroad, what do you think it is that makes them most proud of being Scottish?
At this particular moment, the fact that we're in the World Cup, I think
Yes!
I think that is probably it. You know?
Sorry.
So I think that's probably the thing that's causing most excitement just now,
like that.
and I'm very excited about it.
100%.
So that's one thing. Current. Other things, a variety of things. I think people are proud of who we are, what we represent, how we carry ourselves. I think there's a huge admiration for what Scotland's given to the world, and people are very aware of that. I think there's a huge admiration for Scottish culture. Our cultural contribution to the world is renowned across the world, so it's a huge contribution. And then there's been so many inventions and innovations that have come from Scotland that have...
That's what I was actually thinking. Like,
essentially, well,
where do you think that comes from, though? That global innovation, like, it has to come from somewhere.
Well, I think when you look back over time, I think fundamentally it's about education. And what does education do? It creates an inquiring mind.
True.
And if you've got an inquiring mind, you're going to stumble across new things.
Facts.
And new developments. So it all comes, and so the very foundations of our society are based on having, a long-standing tradition of having a strong education system, and then we carry that through, and then education leads to curiosity and inquiry, and that's where inventions and innovation comes from.
That's true. That's true. I feel like Scotland has like a really distinct voice, like globally, and I'm thinking to myself, like, how do you make sure that people like hear our voice, like internationally, but then also at home, that we're heard?
I think it's a particular challenge because today Scotland is not an independent country. We're not a member of the United Nations. We're not a member of the European Union in our own right, although I would love us to be as an independent country. So it's difficult because on many of the international issues, and according to our current arrangements, the UK government speaks for us on international issues. But I can't say to you that I'm not supportive of the UK government's position on Gaza, for example. I think it's been terrible. And I feel a much stronger stance should have been taken against what was happening in Gaza. Now, so I can establish those, make those comments, I can express Scotland's voice, and I do so. When I then also look at other things, back in October, I went out to Malawi to mark the 20th anniversary of the international development programme that Scotland puts in place. So we support projects that improve the lives of people in Malawi. And I went out there in October, and I was visiting one of these projects in a very small village, which is faced real difficulties because of climate change. The climate's got hotter, it's got much drier, so traditional practices have been able to grow crops became more difficult. So with our funding, we've installed ground source water pumps powered by solar energy.
That's amazing.
So they've now got access to clean water that can irrigate the fields, and that gives them the ability to grow product, and people can survive. And one of the villagers that was there said to me, people are alive here because of what your government has done. Can you imagine
That's
how
mental.
that made me feel?
That
I was
is mental.
like, you know, I was looking at my feet because I couldn't look at the man because I felt so overwhelmed about what he said to me, that people in this country, and this is taxes that people in Scotland are paying, that we're then using to fund international development programs, and because of climate change, people's lives have been made more and more difficult, and we've helped them, and we've helped to save lives there, and that's recognised by people in Malawi. And I just thought, well, that epitomises the Scotland I am very, very proud
of.
to serve.
Yeah.
Because I think that, because that's part of a long-term tradition in Scotland, which has always been about looking out for people not as fortunate
help.
as us and who need assistance. And I think that's, so I suppose what I would say is that there are, we may not be an independent country, but we can make sure our voice is heard independently around the world. And that's what I'm trying to do.
So let's imagine, right, Scotland's got a full set of keys, right, and we're totally in charge. Like, what do you think is the first thing that we would do?
Well, the first thing I would do is I would take more measures to get rid of child poverty, because I think it's the best thing. We come from fairly similar parts of Edinburgh. We saw poverty around about us.
Yeah.
You know, we're part of it.
Hardcore. C block.
And that was, you know, I saw that before you did, and and it still exists today. So I think the best thing we could do for the future of our country is use the powers of independence to lift living standards, and we can do that by making sure the wealth of Scotland is working for the people of Scotland, particularly through energy, and lift children out of poverty. But the best thing we can do for the long-term future of our country.
Amen to that. Oh, that was quite deep. I never know we were going to be going this deep. So if that's the case, then is not being independent making it harder to like do things? Is there decisions that we could make so much faster? Like,
yeah, there are things that we could do that would enable us to lift living standards, and that's the biggest issue that people are wrestling with today: the cost of living, and people are finding it harder and harder, and it's all because of the financial crash and Brexit. It's made people's lives much tougher.
Aye.
So part of what I'm doing is do as much as I can within the current arrangements to help to deal with the cost of living. So we've done lots of things like expand early learning and childcare. We provide free prescriptions. Young under 22s can get free bus travel. We've just abolished peak rail fares to try and take some of the costs off. So we do all that, but there's more that we could do. For example, if we're able to make Scotland's energy wealth work for the people of Scotland by reducing energy bills, and that's really central to improving living standards.
a lot of the young people that I kind of like work with and I'm around and stuff, they do feel like, you know, they want to have more say over like their future. Because I'm like talking to them about when I was like younger and I would like go, what we call it, go all the different islands and go to Europe, and some people would like work in Ibiza, and it's like, cause we're not in the EU, like you can't really do that. So how do you think independence can help them to be able to just have more control?
Well, what it would do, because one of the first things that would happen with Scotland becoming independent is that we rejoin the European Union, and then all those things that, you know, have developed, which have been really great things, like the ability to move around Europe, to go and live and to work in different parts of Europe, other people from Europe to come and to live and to work here. And of course, that interplay of people from different backgrounds is really beneficial for us as a society. It enhances who we are.
It does.
And
it makes you think about like totally different things that you could do in your life. Like, I remember I was in Italy and I was doing pit stop training and it was amazing. And it was like, actually, I'm not going to do this for a living because I can't actually get the wheel off because it's way too big and I'm zooming it like that. But the point is that I wouldn't have had that experience. Do you know what I mean? Especially being from like the background that I'm from, and you know, just having that ease to move around, it really made a difference, I think. Actually, speaking of which, you have a new, you were talking about in the budget, like they were doing this thing last week, sorry I don't know the title of the thing, but you've got this new initiative for young people in work and stuff.
Is this the startup
yeah,
challenge?
That's it.
Well, you see, it's a startup challenge that we're taking forward with, along with the King's Trust and other organisations, where we're trying to help young people start up their own businesses.
Cool.
But particularly young people from some of our minority communities who don't always get all of the support that they need to prosper. And I had a wonderful conversation on Monday with a group of young people who have set up businesses, they've had some support to get there, and they're from minority ethnic communities, and they were just, well, they were just a whole range of new creative people, and it was lovely. It was really, really refreshing to listen to them and to hear what they had to say.
That's healthy, like, that's so cool. Like, I'm definitely proud of that. Just amazing. I've got no words, but that's definitely something that I think is absolutely brilliant and will definitely help a lot of people from different backgrounds, you know. Yeah. I think I just want to ask you one other question, which is, I suppose, looking ahead into the future, how do you want people to think and see Scotland?
I want people to see Scotland as a really thriving, happy, optimistic country, which is using the strengths of our country, which are our natural beauty, our natural environment, the strength of our universities, the majesty of our landscape, that we use that alongside our tradition of inventiveness and innovation and creativity to create a really happy, thriving, successful country that's outward looking and welcoming to all. And if that's the Scotland that we've got ahead of us, I'll be very, very happy.
Fandabidozy. Absolutely love it. Right, I'm going to ask you some quick fire questions now.
No.
All right?
Oh
so
no.
Are you ready for this?
Why do I feel very, very nervous?
You have to answer at within 1 to 2 seconds, if that's all right.
Yeah, I'll try.
I might give you extra time with the questions upon delivery, only because of your senior stature, and maybe I need you to help me one day, I don't know.
Who knows?
All right, are we ready?
Right.
3, 2, 1. Iron brew Coca-Cola.
Iron brew.
I'll let you off on that one. Caramel wafer or caramel log?
Caramel log.
Interesting. Who would win a celebrity boxing match between Rabsy Nesbitt and Jake Paul?
Rabsy Nesbitt.
That's what I'm talking about! I like it! I like it a lot. Stovies or potato scone on a roll? Sauce is optional.
Stovies.
Stovies? I actually love stovies. Okay, this is quite cool. If you had to pick one phrase to lead the country by, okay, is it say less, it's giving, or I'm not going to lie?
It's giving.
All right, I'll take it. Define re-up in one word. I'll give you a wee tip, beginning with an L.
No idea.
And come on, I'll let you off, right? It's level up.
Oh, level up. All right, okay.
Sorry, I'll let you off. It's not really the lingo that we use when we get over a certain age.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Oh my God,
Let's
I can't
move
believe I just said that.
Let's move swiftly on.
No, I never meant it. Right, sorry. Moving on. Someone says after a talk you've done that was mental or mad. Do you A, call security, or B, feel flattered?
Feel flattered.
That's cool. I like that. See, that's how I knew you were the one. Right. Would you rather give a speech to the entire world, and it's slightly hostile, or explain what the word painting means to your granny.
I'd rather give a speech to the whole world.
Cool, I like that. I think it's a smart move and I support you. All right, if you're going to imply one Scottish ambassador to assist you in this office, would it be Beyonce, Rihanna, and just for the crackle, I'll throw in Kim Kardashian?
Rihanna.
Bro, sorry, I'm not supposed to stand up. Let me sit down, right? Quick. Moving on. We're getting into the final penultimate 3 questions.
Right.
Who is Kai Cenat? Next, you missed that one.
Right.
Biggie Smalls or Tupac?
Tupac.
Let's just shake my hand for that. That's a good call, right? Last question. Skepta or Stormzy? I'll give you extra time on this.
Skepta.
That's what I'm talking about. Live and direct on Level Up. Thank you very much. Lovely to have you.
Thank you.
Brilliant. You smashed it. You were brilliant. I
Thank
like
you.
that.